Hey, Kings fans. We're back with yet another installment of the Media Roundtable with special guest. Let's talk some defense here. So the Kings have a lot of young defensemen. Jake Muzzin, had flashes of good hockey this season. He also got pushed around quite a bit, particularly in the playoffs. Dave Joseph, what is Muzzin's trajectory in the organization?
That is a great question. I like the offensive upside, as they say about Jake Muzzin. He's got a great shot. He was on the power play for a while. He seems like, for a while at least, he was able to get his shot through. I think he struggled later on in the year, and I think in the playoffs he took a big hit that kind of changed things in his playoff run when he was playing well to that point, and I think that kind of maybe set him back a little bit. I don't know if it was a confidence thing. I don't know if it was a health issue.
No, it was a confidence issue. Absolutely, it was a confidence, and he admitted to that confidence issue as well.
So,
and the hit ties back to a concussion. If you go back a couple years ago in training camp, he was probably going to make the team coming out of camp that year. Took a big hit that put him on the sidelines for a while.
And they signed Alec Martinez.
Jake Muzzin, I'll let you finish it.
No, go ahead.
Jake Muzzin definitely is a keeper. He was once thought of as the potential replacement for Willie Mitchell in the Kings lineup. He's that guy that's going to give you some offense. He's going to give you some good defense. He's mean enough. He has a mean streak about him. Then they ended up signing Willie Mitchell to that contract extension. So then it was okay. Well, where does Jake Muzzin fit in? Jake Muzzin absolutely has an NHL future. Let's not forget, this is a guy who captained the Sioux Greyhounds, one of the legendary junior hockey franchises. It was a bidding war. When Lombardi signed him, there were other teams that wanted to get him. When he ended up being a free agent after not signing with Pittsburgh, who I believe he was originally drafted by. So,
correct.
Jake Muzzin has a solid future with the LA Kings, and I think that the more time he spends with a guy like John Stevens, it's really going to make a difference. We've seen that with other players, and I think we're going to see the same thing here with Jake Muzzin. That confidence just needs to be there. And guys, he played in a 48-game season over 99 days. They didn't get the practice time to massage that player like they would normally in a regular season.
And not only that, because of the injuries, the injuries to Mitchell and Green, he got thrown just into the fire. They couldn't even bring him along slowly like you normally would.
That guy has an awesome shot.
And the question is, who are you going to pair him with? Yeah. That's a key point. You got to play him with a veteran that's going to probably be a stay-at-home puck stopper, because he's an offensive defenseman. He does have a great shot. I mean, some of the shots he made this power plays this season, I'm like, sure.
Well, you put Jake Muzzin right now with Matt Green, and that's a good combo right there as your 5-6, and then you put either Scuderi or Mitchell with Doughty or Voinoff, and then you put Robin Regier with the other one, and that's a pretty good 6 defenseman.
But this is a 5-6 defenseman. He's not a top 4 defenseman.
Well, not at this point.
He doesn't.
I think he'll grow into that.
I think he could grow into it too, but you don't need him there right now anyway. You don't need him.
So on the depth chart, he's 5'6".
Exactly.
And so if this is a 5 defenseman, you got a good defense.
If they wanted to pair him with Drew Doughty over an 82-game schedule, I would be a little bit concerned. I don't think they would be as good as they've been over the last couple of years. Spot duty, can he fill in? Absolutely. He did it this year, and he did a fine job. Over the next 2 or 3 years, he could grow into a number 3-4 defenseman. I think so.
Over the years, talking to Manchester coach Mark Morris, and I think we saw that exposed this year because of what Charles said, in that he got thrown into the fire in a lot of ways. Jake's biggest issue has been in his head. He tends to get down on himself too hard, and when he has a problem, he kind of dwells on it. That's slowly getting better, but that's been an issue for him throughout the time he was at Manchester, and I think it probably showed up here in LA as well, especially in the playoffs. But if he tackles that challenge, I think the potential increases quite a bit with Jake. I think he's going to be a fine player. Whether he hits 1 or 2, I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think he's
3-4.
I think he's a 3-4, and I think it's John Stevens will have a lot to do with that.
Exactly.
Scuderi Regier was their choice. That was the choice they made. And what a surprise! The guy who played in Calgary for all those years with Sutter.
I'm not sure it was their choice, though. I mean, let me
give you a scenario.
No, wait. Put the timeline together. They were talking with Scuderi back in February. He'd acknowledged that, and so did Scuderi. It became their choice when 2 months later, in May, Scuderi hadn't agreed to a contract. If Scuderi would have signed that contract back in February or even in March prior to the trade deadline, Scuderi would have been the choice.
Well, I don't know that. I'm not sure that offer was ever made. I think they wanted to negotiate with Scuderi. He said, I want to keep going between the San Jose and Chicago series. hold off, picked up the phone and called over here, we'll give you 6 for 2.
But he didn't have a choice because he being Lombardi didn't have a choice because there was fear that Willie Mitchell wasn't coming back.
Right.
Rob Scuderi looked and appeared to be headed towards UFA. I mean, it was 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sign Regier at that point because you can't go 0 for 3. If Mitchell doesn't come back, if Scuderi goes UFA and Regier wasn't re-signed, he's 0 for 3. Well, now we're right back to the Jake Muzzin conversation because who is he going to pair with Doughty and who is he going to pair with Voinov?
But you're going
Jake Muzzin.
to ship either Ellerby or Martinez out, and the other guy's going to be the 7.
Keaton Ellerby or Alec Martinez, and Ellerby is more of a Daryl Sutter type player.
Or Sutter's not a Martinez fan.
You could
More
put it
so.
any way you want.
Ellerby did, well, no, but it's different though, right? It's like, this coach has favorites. It's absolutely the case he has favorites. Dwight King, right? Top of the food chain. He doesn't like Alec Martinez because Alec was as good as any of the other. He was as good as Muzzin or Ellerby, and he was the odd man out. Did he play bad games? He absolutely played bad games. To the point where he was a non-factor? No. He should have been in the rotation. He wasn't. And that's an organization, that's a coach. He
played some bad games this year.
Yeah,
He
right.
wasn't the same player coming back from Finland. You know, he's been asked if it had anything to do with the injury. He
right.
says that it doesn't. We can just only take him at his word. Something was clearly different because Alec Martinez was a very effective young
Absolutely.
defenseman
Liked him
who
a
seemed to
lot.
have a very bright future 1 year ago today.
But we all knew that somebody was going to have to leave eventually. I mean, when Jack Johnson got traded last year,
Whoa,
it was
Jack Johnson.
it was to make room for Voinov. But we didn't necessarily know that it was to make room for Voinov. It was to make room for somebody. The fact that they had Voinov was great. You can't play Martinez 20 minutes a night because you've got Voinov and now Doughty. Doughty plays more than 25 minutes a night. Voinov's just going to play more and more. So even if Martinez does round his game into shape and is a fine player, he's still going to only play 13, 14, 15 minutes, maybe less.
That's a good
so
point,
so these guys have to start either being moved to develop a guy like Muzzin, into maybe he's got the potential to play a more defensive game than Martinez, who knows. But you're only going to find out by letting them play. And a guy like Martinez, great team guy, great locker room guy, but he got smashed in the face with a puck, and his game dipped a little bit, and it's a young team, and people are competing for roster spots, and you can't play everybody, and you can't pay everybody.
The earlier part of your comment was actually the most telling, which is when you have Doughty and when you have Voinov, what do you really need Alec Martinez for? It has nothing to do with Alec Martinez as a player, it's just that on the depth chart, they don't need him as much as they need a Jake Muzzin to develop, to be a guy that can be paired with Voinov. Alec Martinez, he's a 5'6". So if it's going to be Alec Martinez or it's going to be Ellerby, they need more Ellerby guys right now than they need Alec Martinez guys is really what it boils down to.
And let's assume that Willie Mitchell has another setback. What does the defense look like next season without Willie Mitchell and Rob Scuderi?
Robin Regier paired with Drew Doughty and Slava Voinov paired with maybe Keaton Ellerby, maybe Matt Green. Yeah, and then Jake Muzzin along with somebody else. I mean, we're talking.
They can go into the look. If Willie retired and they bought him out, well, they can't retire him over an injury. They could go get a 6, right? They can go get a 5-6 in the marketplace. Believe me, that's not going to be the issue. With that top 4, I don't worry. Look, Doughty and Voinov at the top of the defense. I'm good, right? Because again, I'll go back to the champions, Keith and Seabrook. Right? I mean, you need 2 studs. They've got 2 studs. The rest of the team is strong. It's the strength of the organization. Maybe a Campbell comes up. I'm not, if I'm going to the season and I got to find a 6th defenseman.
No, but wait, you don't have to. No, but see,
you don't even have to.
No. But you don't have to find a 6 because you're trying to find somebody to replace Willie Mitchell. So when you said you're fine, I'm not fine. Yeah. If Rob Scuderi doesn't resign and Willie Mitchell doesn't come back, there's a big hole. They're going to shuffle some guys around, but that defense, even with Voinov and even with Doughty, that defense is not as good as it was this year.
But they got to the conference finals without that big hole.
But let's not pretend that Robin Regier.
No, they had Rob Scuderi. The argument is Rob Scuderi's gone and Willie Mitchell. That's 2 players, and you're not going to replace those guys by getting a number 6. You're going to ask Muzzin and Green to give you more, and Robin Regier now is the guy that was asked to replace Scuderi and Mitchell. That defense, I'm sorry, I've argued for 3 years they have one of the best defensive groups in the Western Conference. I can't make that same argument if they lose both Willie Mitchell and Rob Scuderi.
If that happens, if that scenario lays out happens, it depends who they require. And I'll tell you, there's enough talent in the open market on a UFA to go get that additional chip.
There may not be enough talent in the market in August look, Rob Scuderi, that ship will have sailed because when July 5th hits, within 48 hours, he's
Right,
going to be
done.
snatched up. So it's either LA or somewhere else.
Right.
That ship will be sailed. It's going to come down to the couple weeks leading into training camp. Is Willie Mitchell ready? Yes or no? And if
By that time, it'll be too late.
If the answer is he's not ready, it's too late.
Yeah.
And now you're talking trades, which is going to
Yeah.
mess up the roster.
Well-
I don't think they're going to make a trade to replace a Willie Mitchell. I think they just have to bite the bullet for 1 year and go with Regier and Muzzin and Green.
I agree, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Get that extra part that might be on the cheap, and again, bounces to 70, right? And then there's this guy, Chris Letang, maybe, or something.
Let's switch gears a little bit. The NHL rolling out new divisions next season. The Kings are in Division A. They will compete against
What?
creatively named Division A. They will compete with San Jose, Calgary, Edmonton, Phoenix, Anaheim, and Vancouver. Jesse Cohen, where do the Kings stack up in that division?
Oh man. Well, obviously this will all depend on a lot of the personnel decisions we don't agree on. I think they stack up well. I think Vancouver's in for. I know everybody's excited for
Rude
Tortorella to show up and whip them into shape, but I think that franchise has personality issues from the top to the bottom. I think they've bungled everything with their goaltending. Calgary is going to be rebuilding both organization-wise and building-wise. Too soon? I mean, look, they've got to fix the building. They literally have to rebuild.
I mean, the franchise.
Anyone know why?
Yeah, exactly. Edmonton, I'm not scared of Edmonton. All I hear for 5 years now is Edmonton's going to turn the corner and all these young players. Now their young players are leaving their entry-level contracts and they're going to have to start getting paid, and they're still missing the playoffs, so they don't know who to keep. Anaheim, I don't know. Was this year an aberration? Who knows? I'm always scared of Anaheim, though, because I'm superstitious. The Sharks, I don't know. Niemi's an up-and-down goaltender. 1 year he's great. Everybody thinks he's wonderful. The next year everybody thinks he's terrible. He wins a cup, then he's, next year he's terrible. Phoenix, are they going to be in Division A next year?
Yeah, I mean, they'll be moved to
All
Seattle.
right. So
Yeah.
okay. Are they? Are they going to come back? I mean, who knows? I don't think Phoenix is.
Well, they're not going to do another realignment. So if things move, wherever they move, they're still going to
Someone's
be
going to be over. So I mean, but Mike Smith could wind up in Philadelphia, and then what? I mean, who knows? So I think if the Kings maintain their identity and just keep moving forward, just by default, I think they qualify for the
They're
playoffs.
co-favorites with San Jose.
Yeah.
Because,
Well, they're a playoff team. That's not really a question. It's
Right.
a matter of now, unlike many years before, we actually
Where
talk
in the
about
playoffs.
the Kings as a
Right.
championship team.
Correct.
Are they at championship level
The
anymore?
fans' expectation should be they win the division.
Yeah,
That's
are
what
they
it
are
should
they a
be.
division winning team? They should be, because the realignment has done nothing to change the balance of power
Right.
in the division.
Right.
Adding
Right.
Edmonton and Calgary to the division doesn't change the
And
fact that it's still, or in Vancouver,
Right.
I don't think really changes the fact that it's San Jose and LA that are at the top.
Yeah.
Maybe you can argue Anaheim. The complexion didn't change. The Kings are right there in the mix for a division title.